Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. This is update number 5 of my new HO scale layout down in my new space in the basement. I made a lot of progress, so I wanted to make sure that I show it to you, so let's get right to it. The main goal in the last few days has been to create this lead that's downgrade all the way down to the staging yard, which is down there. That's where the locomotive is sitting with the train right now. And basically I've been testing it out to make sure that I have all my calculations and all my curvatures and all my level correct. So I'll show you in just a few minutes, or at the end of the video, I'll show you the locomotive running the entire length of this with zero problems. It's a single locomotive and it's pulling 16 cars, I believe. Yeah, 16 cars without a problem. I was able to get it at pretty much 2%, maybe a little over, like 2.3 if you want to be exact. I was like 2.27 if you want to be more exact. So I had 33 feet from the point it starts to descend all the way down to where it actually flattens out at the staging yard. And so what I did is if you times 33 feet times 12, you get 396 inches. And then 396 inches, what you do is you take the height of the staging yard, which is 9 inches, and you divide 396 inches, and then you times it by 100 just to move the decimal point over. And that gives you the 2.3 or 2.7, 2.27 that I just mentioned. Anyways, so yeah, I'm very excited that I was able to get this nice and neat, nice and smooth. The surface, which I was a little worried about, is actually very, very flat and very smooth. And if there's any little this is basically recycled newspaper and other cardboard material. But if there's any kind of fuzz like this, it's so soft that it just flattens right out. So I mean the track is not glued or anything right now. It's just basically sitting there just because I wanted to test this whole thing. But it's really good stuff to work with because it's very flexible when it's by itself. Here's a single strip for the spline. This is very flexible stuff, so it bends very easily, which is great because you could shape it much better. But when you put literally just 3 of them together the way it is right now, it becomes very, very tough and very dense in a way that holds its shape very well. And the nice thing is that you could use screws rather than have to nail it or glue it. And the screws hold it very well as well. And then if you need to make any adjustments, you just pull a screw out and everything's opens up again. So it's easy. You don't have to throw it out because you glued it together and now you can't take it apart. So all you got to do is just find another spot and screw it back in. So the way I screwed it in was every 4 inches, which seems to be a good distance before it starts to kind of open up a little bit. So I just wanted to keep it nice and tight. So I did every 4 inches, which I think is what most guys use anyway when they use this material. So anyways, I'm very happy with it. Now, obviously it's not done. It's what I did is I took the minimum amount of strips, which 3, to get some kind of sub road bed. So that basically is a little tiny bit wider than a track would be. Obviously, I'm going to add 1 more, maybe even 2 more, just to give it a little distance for scenery and just to build it up. Because I'm not sure how I'm going to scenic this yet. If I'm going to make it like a valley as the train's going down, maybe I'll make it so that there's a slight, elevation on the side here, almost like a little hill. So that it looks like the train's kind of going into a pit. Or, I don't know, I might do plexiglass or something to protect the train. I obviously don't want to leave it just hanging out like that because all I need is for one little accident, and I'm gonna have hundreds of dollars or more on the floor as waste. So the only modification I had to make, which I knew was gonna happen, was that I had a 1x3 here, but it was sticking up. So obviously when the train was making this curve here, especially long locomotives, or like I'm running one 75-foot lumber car that, you know, obviously when it makes the turns, it wants to push that way. So I knew it was going to rub up against that, so I just cut that. This actually cleared. I thought it might have rubbed against this, but it actually cleared without a problem. But I still might just cut a little wedge here, just so I don't have to worry about it. But yes, I'm going to add another one, which is the other nice part about this material. You just add, you know, you add one. You don't have to get a screw that goes all the way through. All it needs to do is grab onto this. I mean, you can go through if you want, but you know, after a while, you're gonna need like, you know, 4 or 5 inch screws. So I've been using like regular sheetrock. I think it's like 1 1/4 inch screws just to hold those three together, and they work fine. And they don't protrude on the other side, which is nice. And then to actually anchor it, I've been using deck screws actually, which I love working with deck screws. They're just so smooth and so good. And they have that little star, you know, drill bit. So it really grabs. So yeah, that's what I've been anchoring to these points. Also, the way I marked this was basically the X's represent an anchor. So I know there's a screw there. Because now what's going to happen is when I come in with the new Homasote, I'm not going to see these screws. So I don't know what's where. So I marked them with X's for the anchors, and I marked just dots. You can see the dots every 4 inches for the regular screws that are, you know, holding the material together. This way, when I keep layering, I know where I need to be. Also, I marked the Homasote strips, which, by the way, I'll just take you over here. What I do is I take a 4x8 board and I rip the Homasote into these 2-inch strips. So as you can see, the surface comes out super flat and super clean once you rip them, and then it's easy to line them up. And the nice thing is that you really only need to line up the top, because the bottom, you know, I mean, the bottom needs to be fairly lined up, but it's going to have wood and it's going to be screwed into whatever the risers are, or whatever, you know, whatever bench work, you know, I'm putting it on, depending on the incline. So that's a lot more manageable than just having the track be all wobbly and stuff. So, you know, the top surface has been great all the way through. So what else is going on? Basically, what I did today, just a few minutes ago, was just test run the locomotive, and I was just curious to see if the 2% or the 2.3% was going to be too much. I didn't think it would be, because I've done a lot of research with, you know, just watching a lot of YouTube videos and what guys are using on their layouts, and just generally the rules that you shouldn't really go past 3. I mean, 3% I think is already pushing it, and it starts to look a little toyish, I think. So, you know, I went with this 2.3%. That was the best I could do, because, you know, if I lowered the staging yard any more, this would have been at like a 3 or a 4%, and that I can't afford. And I had some discussions on Facebook with certain people who warned me about the height of the staging, and I get it. It's very shallow. I can still get my hand in there, and even my elbow, which I know is the bigger problem. But the other thing is that I'm fighting against a lot of things in this room. I'm fighting against the fact that I only have this before I hit a gate, and I do not want to be doing that with the gate here. Then if I go the other way, then I have that in the way. So, you know, I'm kind of stuck, and I wanted my staging to be here and then come into the peninsula, which is going to be here for the return loop and back out. And the other thing is that, you know, I don't know how prototypical I'm going to get with this, but I would imagine that these trains are coming from the south, from like Manhattan or even New Jersey. They're coming up, and then this is supposed to be Binghamton here. So this is all yard for Binghamton and whatever facilities. And then from there, it's supposed to start climbing, and you know, it's a double deck. And by the time it gets up here to the ceiling, that's supposed to be Schenectady, where I'm going to do the return loop and come back down. That's where I'm at. I guess the next goal is to just finish, you know, doing the wrapping here. But then I want to get into doing all the staging tracks, because I have access to it right now from the top. So I want to make sure, you know, I put the plywood down. I get all the tracks the way I want them. I glue them down. I test them. And while I'm doing that, I might start up on that side, because that side doesn't affect the staging. Just to get an idea of how I'm going to be climbing, you know, with the spline into the peninsula and then into the second level, which is really going to start here. The bench work for the second level starts here. On that side, I am going to have the bench work on the second level, but it's going to be from this side that wrapped around the room and ended up there. But the way I'm going to get there is by climbing through the back of the layout, pretty much using the spline, just lifting, and then it's going to be like hopefully, it's going to be like a mountain scene here. It's going to dip under the stairs. There's going to be a big tunnel here. It's going to come around. I'm going to have access from the back here if something goes wrong. And then once it gets to this side, you know, out of the portal here, then there's going to be like a few industries and things here. But I'm already going to be lifting the bench work here, so that by the time I get to the wall, I'm already, you know, at least a foot off of that surface. So that's the goal. The goal is to just kind of chip away at this, get that all set before I do anything on top, and then work on that when I get bored with the staging. You know, the staging's, let's admit it, it's boring. So, and it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of trackage to get it done. So it's going to take a while. I'm still not sure. Obviously, I want to track in and track out, but it's going to have to be single main from this point on. So I'll probably put the switcher, the turnout, somewhere around here to start opening it up. So the throat would be kind of like this. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do, you know, like a turnout where they all keep going this way, or a turnout and then another turnout that splits again, you know, kind of like, so that, because if you do it that way, I think you can get it narrower. Even though you're wasting a little bit of distance this way, you end up getting more in the long run. I got to do more homework on that. I'm not really well educated on that. And then obviously, let's say I have 4 tracks going that way, or 5, probably just 4. They have to make this turn, so, you know, obviously there's going to be a corner here where the track's going to have to turn. But my idea is that, let's say I have 4 tracks, they turn, go around the entire peninsula with the 4 tracks. If I can make those radius turns here, and then return with the 4 tracks going in this direction. You know, if I can't pull that off, then what I might do is 4 tracks, close it, main loop, one track loop, and then open it up again so that I have the 4 tracks in front. So I could do, like, you know, let's say 4 trains on that side and then 4 trains on this side. And that'll just be a transition. And obviously I would have to leave one line open just so I can do the continuous running the entire way. But yeah, the idea is that once, you know, I'm probably going to put a camera here eventually so that I can project it onto my TV, which is going to go here. And then I'll probably have like a split screen situation where you can see, like, you know, the staging and then JMRI and then the track plan and whatever it is that I might need to control the layout from here. And then when I'm doing a session also, so you can see the trains that are waiting to leave and the ones that are entering. So maybe 1 or 2, you know, those little Nest cameras are great because they're Wi-Fi. You don't need to be worried about too much wiring, just one wire to a USB drive, to a USB port. And that does it. I have a bunch of them upstairs for the house. So I could do like a separate network down here, so it doesn't, you know, have to be annoying with the trains and then my living room. And then we'll go from there. But, you know, I'm excited to get all that done so I can actually get to modeling, which is the scenery and the, you know, the industries and how it's going to work, and then just thinking more through the session process, you know, how I'm going to run the railroad, what industries are going to be available, you know, where my facilities are going to be and all that stuff. And then hopefully I can get some guys down here and do a little session. We'll have some way bills and whatever I'm going to use, and we'll go from there. So yeah, we'll talk more about what's happening over there. I was going to do another gate. This is already done. I mean, it's just a matter of adding more beams across, but this fits in there beautifully. I just got to get the cleats in place. But I might, since I'm not going to be often pull this out, I might just leave it as a lift out instead of like worrying about a gate and swinging and the leveling. I might just do it where I can just put it in there, really slam it shut, you know, with like clips and whatever it is. Or even put one screw and one screw just to really lock it in place. And then if I ever need to get in there for something big, then I could, you know, unscrew it and take it out. But I left room there so that I could just duck under, open the door, and then, you know, flip whatever switches I need in my electrical panel there. You know, because I think it's even this gate came out great, but it's always going to be a little bit of a worry for me because things move, you know. So the more solid it could be, and the less splits I have to make with the track, the better. So we'll see how that goes. All right, that's pretty much it for this update, number 5. I'll see you on number 6. Take care.